One dream, one wish, kanaetai na over the top. What a wonderful, 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 wonderful day. We are here, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another One Piece reflection stream. Time to go over the chapters we got in October. So firstly, yo peoples, Kyushu92 here, and like I said, welcome back to One Piece Reflections, where I, at the end of every month, go over all the chapters that we get for One Piece every month. And in the month of October, it was substantial. A lot of things were revealed in the first chapter of October. And then we got another chapter that just delved into some major events that happened in the history of One Piece. Firstly, the first chapter we got in October showcased the, J. Garcia Saturn making landfall for the very first time in who knows how many decades, because this is the first time that one of the members of the Godosei have ever gone down from Marie-Joie down to the world below. And he even remarks that, well, firstly, I'm getting ahead of myself. We need to go through each chapter and then talk about them. So firstly, let me just acknowledge everyone here. Good to see you, Ravi. Good to see you, Ogata. Good to see you, Finding, also known as Ivan. Good to see you, Psycho Holster, and everyone else. Special shout out to all of my members in chat right now. I just want to say thank you for all that you do for me and this channel and this job that I have. I just want to say how much I appreciate you. I couldn't figure out which hand position to put my hands in to say I appreciate you. I apologize, but I just want to say thank you for what I do here on this channel, for you guys to be members. It is absolutely amazing, and I just want to say how much I appreciate you for what you do for me each month. I just want to say thank you. That does not go unnoticed. I just want to acknowledge how much of a benefit you've been to me. So thank you for that. So starting off, we start off with chapter 1094, which is Five Elders, Godhead of Science and Defense, St. J. Garcia Saturn. And this picks up to when Atlas called out for all the pacifistas to start fighting the Navy. And that's the order that Atlas gives them. And they immediately start opening fire on the Navy soldiers. And it's just anarchy all around as the Navy's trying to defend themselves, while Vegapunk, Atlas, Sanji, and Frankie are all making their way down there because Stella Vegapunk wants to go rescue Bonnie. And Sanji notices where she is, and he immediately makes a beeline for her ahead of everyone else. And as that's going on, we got Bonnie facing off against one of the Vice Admiral Otter, who we later find out has basically an Otter Zoan Devil Fruit, and she's fighting him. And as some other Navy soldiers come up behind her, she uses a new move that we haven't seen before called NDE, which is Near Death Experience, which with her powers makes a person feel as if they've aged to the point of death. And that psychological trauma that happens to that individual when they experience NDE, it causes them to just fall completely unconscious. Because imagine, you in your mind briefly see the moment you die, and unless your will is strong, that sort of thing can just render a person completely immobile from the psychological horror of experiencing their own death. And Vice Admiral Otter's all like, hey, what's wrong with you? And everyone's all like, I saw the river Styx, which is an odd coincidence because I was playing Hades before I started this stream, and I beat my first run last night. So that's something. I'm making another run because I'm trying to do like upgrades and stuff. Y'all know, just reasons to keep on playing, but just a little tidbit there. But Vice Admiral Otter's all like, hey, what's wrong with you? I saw the river Styx. And then Bonnie runs away, and she runs right in front of a pacifista who goes, no escape for you. And then Bonnie's all like, huh? Why? Because it shows that Vice Admiral Bluegrass, the old lady Vice Admiral that was with the rest of the Vice Admirals that travel to Egghead, she reveals that she is the user of the ride fruit, which means that she can take a ride on anything and anyone, and she can control that individual regardless of anything else, including the orders given by Vegapunk. So she's able to manifest like a handle or like a rope of some kind on this pacifista, allowing her to fully take control of it. And that's a scary ability if you think about it, because if she's able to control a pacifista this way, all it takes is for her to jump on the back of someone else, and she immediately starts controlling them. Kind of akin to Doflamingo's parasite string way back in Dressrosa. The ability to fully control another person. That's just a small thing, but it's kind of crazy how there's different fruits that can accomplish the same thing, even though some of them could be just fundamentally different in their capabilities. Some of them have similar abilities to a degree. If I kill you, will that undo the curse you put on my soldiers? And as it looks like Bonnie's about to be hit by this pacifista who looks like her dad, that she just stands there and stares at, because this pacifista looks like Kuma. Sanji comes in and grabs her and knocks her out of the way. Then we have Vice Admiral Otter come in, and he's already in his man-beast hybrid otter form, and he tries to hit Sanji and Bonnie with Otter Hammer, because he's using like this giant club, like this giant hammer, but it has a super enlarged clam on the end, and it's incredibly powerful and durable because it completely shatters the ground where Sanji and Bonnie were. And then Sanji gets closer and closer to Stella Vegapunk. And then we cut back to the Labo phase where Gear 5 Luffy is still fighting Kizaru. And Kizaru says, "Listen, I'm sorry, but if I spend all my time on you, I can't fulfill my mission." Yeah, but that's my mission! And mind you, both Luffy and Kizaru are breathing heavily. Kizaru is actually exerting some energy here. Even though we've seen him just like passively aggressively go through this entire altercation with Luffy, he's been... Hold on, let me make sure my audio's fine. Yes, it is. I just had to double check. I always like to double check because you never know. The entire time that Luffy and Kizaru have been fighting, Kizaru has been getting winded, as well as Luffy. Mind you, Luffy hasn't gotten used to the drawbacks of using Gear 5 yet, so of course he still gets tired. But both he and Kizaru are still getting tired. And then Kizaru shoots off into the distance, and Luffy, using his Toon Force abilities of Gear 5, immediately starts running in the air after him. But they all take their attention to another location as they all feel this overwhelming aura, this foreboding and powerful presence just enter into Egghead. Kizaru notices, Luffy notices, and there's like a slight shiver. Zoro notices, and he's all like, "What's that?" Even Lucci notices, and Jinbei notices as well. And then we have Chopper with Nami and Usopp, who are taking Stussy to be taken care of. I didn't vocally say anything about that because it was like, I just see Usopp, Chopper, and Nami, but I didn't at the time fully recognize that it was Stussy on the gurney that they're moving through the lab in order to take care of her. That's what's happening. Then we have Vice Admiral Dahl and one of the other Vice Admirals who notices this presence. Then we get this big silhouette of a figure going, "Pacifista, stand down!" And this can be heard all over Egghead. And as this is going, all the pacifistas stop moving, and Atlas and Vegapunk are wondering, what's going on? Why? The only thing above us on the hierarchy arc is the 5 elders. And then pretty much both a flaming and lightning-infused pentagram pops up onto the ground, like it's surrounded by flames, and then lightning is emanating from it. Not hockey lightning, though it's easy to mistake it as such. Not hockey lightning, but lightning is emanating from the entry point of this pentagram while it's surrounded by flames. And the regular Navy soldiers are looking like, a magic pentagram? And as they're going, they keep going using one of the, Milky Roads? One of the cloud roads to get back up to the Labo phase. And then the Navy announces, alert to all units on location. Saint Saturn of the Five Elders is disembarking on Egghead. And everyone's surprised because they know of the Gorosei, but very few of them have ever, well, a vast majority of them, let's just say that a vast majority of them have never seen the Gorosei in person. So the fact that they're saying that one of them is there, because here's the thing, they did not know that Jay Garcia was there at all, because back when he was speaking to Kizaru on the way to Egghead, he was all like, no one needs to know that I'm here. So this announcement that one of the Five Elders is there is news to literally everyone except the ones who were in the same room with Jay Garcia beforehand. So, while Vegapunk and company are making their way back up to the Labo phase, the big flaming electrical storm that's emanating from this pentagram is growing even higher to the point where the flames and all the effects of it is rising high into the air to the point where it already eclipses where Vegapunk and the rest of the crew are making their way towards. And they're all wondering what's going on. And not only on top of the announcement, but they also say Commodores and below aren't even allowed to have an audience with them. And Sanji and crew are all like, what's with that explosion? The Five Elders, they've come all the way here? Five what? And this is the first that Frankie is learning about the Gorosei at all. Mind you, the Straw Hats really don't know too much about the Gorosei at all, because only very few people are knowledgeable about them. Robin being the most knowledgeable, since, her interactions with the world government and being with the revolutionaries are give her privy to information concerning that, but she's also had, vocal run-ins with them as well, especially during the whole Ohara incident. But Frankie and crew don't know anything about the Gorosei, the power that they wield, where they sit on the world, and this is really the chapter where they finally find out that, hey, there's this big overarching authority that presides over the entire world. This is the first that they're learning of it, if I remember correctly. So Vegapunk says they're the highest authority in the world. Say what? We've got to get out of here. Hold on tight. And as the pentagram continues to flame and spark, a figure starts to come out of the center. Something's coming out of that circle. And then one of the Navy soldiers goes, what is that monster? Don't say it! I have a feeling that's... And then we see this figure, eyes light up, and then the head of this Navy soldier just completely explodes. So I want to take a moment to just talk about that. I just want to take a moment to just just talk about that. Just looking at a person. Just looking at a person and you just straight up blow up their head. Just casually. One thing I do know is that we're getting a chapter next week. Apart from that, I have no idea what happens at all. Okay. I'm curious, what benefits does an Otter Zoan Devil Fruit even have to a person? It's not like you can swim. It's kind of... Yeah, the only thing I can think of is the durability and the superhuman extra strength that Zoans have. Really just the extra durability, strength, and speed and stuff. It really just... Zoans really just augment the person with the power of the animal that they have. The more brawny and more powerful the animal, the more brawny and more powerful the person benefits from. So for an otter, it's a Zoan. Zoans are automatically going to have that trade-off, have that benefit. But for an animal that is known to also be slightly aquatic most of the time, I honestly don't see how that... I don't see how you could get any more benefits other than your standard Zoan abilities. Because Zoan users can't swim, no matter what, even if they're part fishman. A good example is Jack. He's part fishman, which is why he was able to survive at the bottom of the ocean waiting for someone to come get him, despite already having a devil fruit. That's the only reason why he survived, but he couldn't move, despite the fact. He could breathe underwater, but he couldn't move. So when you have a Zoan devil fruit that allows you to become a semi-aquatic animal, or at least an animal that spends a lot of time in water, that whole benefit of being able to enjoy the water, it just kind of goes out the window because of the whole devil fruit limitation. I can't wait to find out more about how devil fruits work. I really can't. Like, we know that Vegapunk theorized that, hey, devil fruits are the desires of people in the world, or why can't I have this, or why can't I have that? And they're essentially an anomaly in the world of One Piece, to the point where the world itself does not recognize them as something that's a part of its world. The sea, literally the sea itself, the world itself, rejects the idea of devil fruits, to the point where if you have one, the sea will reject you, and you won't be able to swim in it. It's literally not supposed to be real. It's not supposed, because with that, if you think about that concept for Vegapunk, or at least that hypothesis for Vegapunk, devil fruits should not exist. It's him calling it an anomaly, at least from his own theory, would make you assume that devil fruits are not supposed to really exist in the world of One Piece. They're out of the ordinary. They're not supposed to be in the world, which is why the entire world rejects anyone who has one, essentially drowning them because they're not supposed to be part of the world. But all right, we can continue. We can continue. I'll continue on with devil fruits at another time. But it just makes you think, just about devil fruits in general. But we need to get back to this chapter. I'm sorry. Family was like talking to the dogs in the background. They were taking them outside. But this figure stands up. This figure appears, looks at this Navy soldier, and his whole head explodes. And then we see him fully, which is J. Garcia Saturn. Saint J. Garcia Saturn, highest authority in the world, 5 elders, godhead of science and defense. And he's seen in a Zoan devil fruit type form. Now, we still don't have the name of it, but matter of fact, let me do this. Let me do this. Yes. Okay. So we don't have the name for the particular devil fruit that he has, but what we do know is that he's essentially this Ushi Oni type Zoan, which is basically an ox Oni. If you were to look in like Japanese mythology or whatever, he's essentially an ox Oni. But he's a mythical Zoan type, from what I can gather, due to his abilities that he's shown and the capabilities that he has and his unique body structure as far as his hybrid form, where he has like this whole spider lower half, but the upper half is, humanoid, clawed hands, and his beard and giant mustache is all combined into this big billowing mass of hair underneath him. His eyes have changed, and he has big curving horns as well. Not unlike that of Black Maria, though it's kind of interesting how Black Maria is able to stay in that hybrid form, and the bottom half is full spider, but she can also have her torso on top. So her case is kind of unique, but with Jay Garcia, he's essentially this mythical Zoan Ox Oni type devil fruit user who has the power to basically teleport to a location using like a pentagram with 5s in it, and also being able to look at a person and just essentially blow their heads up. Just literally look at a person and just kill them. So apart from the legs, he's kind of reminds you of a fiend from Witcher to a degree. Like, we've in a lot of video games, we've seen characters like this, bosses like this. Like in Dark Souls, we have I forget her name, Quiloth or Keloth, or I forget what her name is, but she's one of the daughters of Chaos, and she essentially has like this upper torso of a woman, but the lower half of it is like a spider body that can spew out lava and such. We've seen characters like that. We've seen characters who are half spider-like and half human as well in different types of media. But for Jay Garcia, this is significant because it's a mythical Zoan type. Now, the thing about mythical Zoan types is they always have supernatural abilities on top of like the standard stuff for Zoans. Mythical Zoans tend to have things that just break reality or break the laws of physics in a way. When you have Marco, you have his abilities that are essentially the three types of devil fruits all in one. The Paramecia healing, the Paramecia type of healing, where he can do it to himself or to other individuals. Him being a Zoan, but a unique in this case because he's also a Phoenix. And the intangibility of a Logia, which allows him in his Zoan form to just completely ignore projectiles being shot at him because they just go through him because he's essentially made up of flames. Now, mind you, the flames themselves don't burn because they're warm, but they're not meant to be like injuring flames. They're more like concussive flames when it comes to Marco in certain cases. Then you have Kaido, who's essentially able to control multiple different elements as a dragon. A giant flying dragon. Not only can he shoot fire out of his mouth, but he can also summon tornadoes, lightning, and even roar loud enough where he can send out invisible slashes that are easily capable of lopping off human limbs, as we saw with Okiku. And then we have we have Luffy, essentially a form that turns him into a Toon Force god, where he can basically do anything he wants. The only thing that's limiting him is his imagination. And it's not just limited to him, but it also extends to the environment and even living beings, which you don't see happening with a lot of awakenings. Actually, you don't see that happening with awakenings at all. Because I think Luffy is the first one whose awakening not only affects the environment, but also affects people in an extension as well. We've seen it with Doflamingo, where he's able to turn his entire environments into strings, but he's not able to do that to actual people. We have Luffy, who's able to affect the environment in a Toon Forcey way, but also apply that to to organic things as well. So that's the first thing with Luffy, and it's also hailed as the most ridiculous power in the world that even the Gorosei fear getting out. Literally seeing Luffy's face in Gear 5 state plastered throughout the world for his brand new bounty poster was enough to make the Gorosei livid, because they don't want that type of information getting out there, because it's always something that the Gorosei has always wanted, that one specific fruit. And then we have Sengoku with his Buddha devil fruit power. We don't know the thing is, we don't even know the fullest extent of what Sengoku can do with that form. All we know is that he's incredibly powerful when it comes to, hand-to-hand combat, but he can also just put his hands up and then just shoot out shockwaves. Yet we don't know what else he can do. And then we have Katarina Devon, we have Onimaru, and we have who else do we got? I know we got another mythical Zoan type. We got Orochi with his Yamata no Orochi, but since he's dead, that devil fruit is now back in circulation again, so it's only a matter of time until someone gets that. I don't know if anyone's going to get it in this storyline, but it's just out there in the world now. But with Jay Garcia, he's able to just fully teleport, and him looking at an individual can just kill them. So when I say mythical Zoan types in One Piece are even more broken than even Logia's, Yamato as well. Yes, Yamato is basically this guardian. Did I say Devon and Stronger? I think I said Katarina Devon with the Nine Tails and Stronger with his Pegasus, I think. No, I didn't say Stronger. I think I was thinking Katarina Devon, and I just didn't mention her. But I'm not going through the whole list. It's just that we have mythical Zoans who are showcasing abilities that are just as broken, that are reality breaking and physics breaking, if you will. Like, a lot of the devil fruits in One Piece tend to do that on a regular basis, but we're at the point right now where even regular Paramecia types that break reality are not as eye-popping as the devil fruits of mythical Zoan types that can fundamentally just do things like shapeshift into another person, or turn into like an 8-headed Hydra, or turn into a dragon that can use all sorts of different elements and can fly, or turn into a literal god that can do anything with its own imagination. We're in the ballpark where we are getting mythical Zoan types that are doing things that Paramecia types wouldn't be able to do even if they had an awakening. We have officially, ever since we got Gear 5, we have now reached the realm of ridiculous devil fruits. And I'm saying this as an individual we've seen tons of different fruits that have done ridiculous. I know I'm going off on a tangent on this, but it's like seeing Jay Garcia do these brand new abilities, it's like, okay, where's the power scaling now? Think about it. Where do we put this level of power now? The ability to look at a person and make their heads explode. That goes a lot further than a lot of fruits in this story that require you actually hit a person physically or hit them from a distance, but there's still the caveat of the person dodging. No, all Jay Garcia's got to do is just look at you and your head is gone. How do you combat that? We have entered into the ridiculous of the ridiculous when it comes to fruit powers now. So, and here's the thing. This is just Jay Garcia. We've still got 4 other members who all have powers, who may very well all be mythical types. Where do we put this type of power? I'm just saying. I like I said, I know I'm going off on a tangent, and we're almost 30 minutes in, and I'm still on the first chapter, which is fine. I got nothing but time today. But where do we put this level of power after everything we've seen? Who knows if it's part of his devil fruit, since in the later chapters he isn't in his hybrid for a full form when doing the stare. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. We'll go over it. But because with Jay Garcia going over this, with Jay Garcia doing this, and see, this is the reason why I like having these streams where I can just take my time, think everything through, and just talk to all of you about it. It's up to you. Well, thank you. Thank you, VW Mona. I don't even know how to fully say your name. Can I just, V Mona? Can I just call you V Mona? I hope you don't mind, because I don't know how to fully say that without butchering it. So, Vimona, thank you. I mean, I know you did, because it said you did 2 days ago, because I got like this little feed thing that lets me know who's subbed to me recently whenever I do this. So, yeah, I know. Welcome. I hope you enjoy yourself while you're here, and I hope you enjoy everything else I do on this channel. But I like taking my time talking to One Piece to all of you, because there's so much to gather from just 3 chapters. So we got to continue. Jay Garcia appears, and he's there in his, and mind you, he's awakened, okay? He's awakened. He's not, this isn't just him in like his normal Zoan hybrid state. He's in his awakened state. And even Botany's starting to shiver just from the appearance of Jay Garcia. And as Atlas and company are still going, a beam shoots down, and it's Kizaru who's pretty much destroyed the cloud road that they were rolling on. And Kizaru is preparing, who goes like, oops, so close. And he's all like, he missed them. My thing is, Kizaru is one of the most accurate peoples in the entirety of One Piece. This man is crazy accurate. But he missed? Was he oh, right, I forgot. This dude's a troll. So he's just trolling them. He's all like, oops, so close. Because honestly, he wouldn't have missed. If he was aiming for Vegapunk, he would have hit him. He's just making his own job harder by keeping them all alive. I don't know why he missed. This dude, because the Vega tank is not faster than Kizaru. It's not faster than a laser. He just barely missed them. But if Kizaru really wanted to hit him, he would have. Because that's how accurate he is. So I'm wondering, why did he miss? Question for another time. But Luffy comes up right behind him, finally caught up, and goes, "Stop right there, Kizaru! You must be reaching your limit by now." "Please, Luffy, do something," goes Frankie. And Kizaru shoots Luffy, who gets clipped by it. He gets clipped by Kizaru and starts spinning around, but he starts using the momentum to go faster and faster and faster and faster and faster until he uses a new move called Gum Gum Star Gun, which is essentially this big enlarged fist that also stretches, that's also coated in hockey, and punches Kizaru directly in the head. Now, the uniqueness of this attack is that it not only hits Kizaru, but it also stretches through his head as well. So, actually, I want to look up Luffy. I want to look up Luffy. Well, actually, just a Gum Gum fruit. Actually, just a Gum Gum fruit. And then go to Gear 5, and then get the official description of Star Gun. Y'all know I like to look up this stuff. I like looking up techniques and stuff like this in different series. So, Gum Gum Star Gun, literally meaning rubber white star gun. After enlarging his muscles and hardening his arm, Luffy spins rapidly in place before stretching and delivering a powerful enlarged hook to the opponent's head, which makes cartoon stars fly on impact. This was first used against Kizaru, who noted the attack's strength before being sent flying. It proved, well, actually, we'll find out in a minute. He hits Kizaru in the head hard enough to send him flying into the distance. Now, Luffy loses the ability to use Gear 5 for the moment, but Kizaru goes sailing straight through a building. Gets sent straight through a building while Luffy falls to the ground. And as everyone falls to the ground, they wind up right in front of Jay Garcia, much to the surprise of Vegapunk. And then we have Jay Garcia's going, "I thought we already had you killed, Vegapunk," pretty much counting on CP0 to kill Vegapunk before they got there. And Bonnie, thinking back on words, going, "I gave you an order, Vegapunk," remembering that the Gorosei are the reasons why Kuma was turned into a cyborg, she takes a katana, runs towards Jay Garcia, and without even hesitating, stabs him directly in the chest. With like the Navy in the background going, "Saint Saturn!" And that's the end of that chapter, with Bonnie having tears in her eyes. Now, the thing that stuck out to me the most during this chapter was the fact that, one, the Gorosei, one of the members of the Gorosei, Jay Garcia, just makes his way to landfall for the very first time in decades. And it really has been several decades since he's been down there, because Jay Garcia is older than a vast majority of the people that we've seen in this series. Because you'll find out that the Jay Garcia we see right now in the present has not changed since earlier on. Matter of fact, I want to say this. We were first introduced to the Gorosei when Robin was a child, and then the Ohara incident happened. Now, the thing I want to cross-reference is the age of Robin. Because if she's as old as I think she is, then the Gorosei are, yep, okay, after the time skip, she's only 30. Okay, wow, I'm older than Robin. Ain't that something? But the thing I want to cross-reference is in accordance to the last chapter we'll go over today. So, but we see Garcia here, and he hasn't aged at all. I'm going to come back to that. So, going forward, we have 1095, which is Better Off Dead in This World. And what this is the Navy running away from the point of where Jay Garcia is, going, "Saint Saturn has disembarked. All units but Vice and Rear Admirals maintain distance from the island center. Avert your eyes from his holy form." I don't know what the Navy thinks constitutes as holy, but if I see a giant man with spider legs and a big black flame around his shoulders, and he's got claws for hands, and his hat he normally has on his head just turns into big old black horns. That don't seem holy to me. I'm just throwing it out there. But maybe the Navy's kind of dumb. you understand? Maybe they're just kind of dumb. But yeah, avert your eyes from its holy form. What constitute is holy in One Piece? I mean, I know they got churches, people be praying and stuff, but this ain't holy. This is not of the heavenly review. This is of the fiery pits of Tartarus. But anyone who isn't a vice or rear admiral, everyone's got to go because otherwise they'll die. But then you got people who are seeing the Godosei for the first time. Well, at least one, even just one of their members for the first time going, I've only seen them in portraits. What are those flashes of lightning? The admirals themselves will act for a single celestial dragon, and these are the pinnacle of those gods. You mean one of them came all the way here from Marijua? Because to the world, all we know of is the celestial dragons. No one really knows of the Godosei because they're not the individuals who will go down and make public appearances. All people know of is the celestial dragons. But the Godosei rule over the celestial dragons. They are higher than them. And then they have Im-sama, who basically rules everyone. But knowledge of the Godosei is even... Some knowledge of the Godosei is even kept from, like, even their own foot soldiers, to the point where it's all like, I've only seen pictures of them, but I've never seen one in person. They don't know anything about these individuals who rule over them. Barely anything. They only know the protocol of them being Navy and what that means for the Godosei. Like, they only know that the admirals will act for a single celestial dragon, and these people are the pinnacles of those gods, but that's as far as they know. They don't know pretty much anything else about them except appearances. Didn't even notice the claws. Oh yeah, he's got claws. He's got like long fingernails. His hands are enlarged, like they're not like regular human hands. I know I got to clip my nails. I got to do that after I'm done because I like to keep my fingers nice and clean. You never know whose hand I may be touching later this week. But clawed hands, his hands are actually enlarged. Like, instead of him being like regular human length, they're like enlarged at the tip, like monster hands. And they're clawed. When you worship the devil, wouldn't that be considered holy? I mean, you're not wrong. Holy is a matter of perspective for some people. So you're not wrong. But for a vast majority of the Navy, they don't know anything about the Godosei. So one making landfall is news to them, is breaking news to them. And then for them to be at the forefront of it, it's monumental. This is going to be something that they remember for the rest of their lives. Knowing that one of the Godosei who never go down to the world below is right there at the center of the island. And you're being told to run away, do not look at him, or you will die. I mean, they don't say you'll die, but most likely you will. But as we cut away from the Navy, from the rest of the soldiers, we got to continue on. We cut back to Jay Garcia, who's still standing there while Bonnie is stabbing him in the chest. Now, to give you a good perspective of how big Jay Garcia actually is in comparison to everyone else, what's actually going to be a good representation of size? Alright, I'm going to use my Thanos figure because it's one of the more bigger figures that I have sitting on my bookshelf. Now, Thanos is kind of dusty because I don't... Woo! Lot of dust. Woo! That is dusty! This is the first time I've removed Thanos from my bookshelf in years. This is the first time he's been moved in years because when I pose something on the top of my bookshelf, I don't really move it much. But to give you a good comparison in size of how big Jay Garcia is, and if you guys want to follow where I'm reading, go to Viz or go to Manga Plus so you guys can see where I'm reading as well, so you guys can understand why I'm making these observations. To give you a good idea of how big Jay Garcia is to Bonnie and to literally everyone else, I'm Jay Garcia's size, for reference. This is body size. That's how big Jay Garcia is in his awakened Zoan state. He big. He's very big. He towers over everybody. He might as well be as big as Kaido when Kaido's in his regular human form. That was a lot more dust than I was expecting. I still see particles floating around. What in the world? I gotta clean the top of my bookshelf. Just clean his head real quick. It hasn't. Big old purple chrome dome. Let me put this back. Now, to put him back up here for another 3 years. But that's how big Jay Garcia is. That's how big Jay Garcia is in comparison to Bonnie. So he's massive. But Bonnie's stabbing him in the chest. And Vegapunk is all like, Bonnie, what have you done? Saint Saturn! She stabbed the Elder! That man sits atop the very world itself. Ready your weapons! And while everyone's preparing to kill Bonnie because she stabbed one of the most powerful individuals in the world, Jay Garcia flashes his eyes and goes, Pipe down, you insects. If I were afraid of her sword, I would have avoided it. Now, the thing that happens is that he flashes his eyes and Bonnie gets hit with this unseen concussive force that immediately knocks her away and bloodies her. He just looks at her. So what we see here is that he can selectively choose the amount of impact that hits an individual. One individual, head completely exploded. Another individual, either it's based off of Jewelry Bonnie being tougher than your average Navy officer, or because Jay Garcia willingly nerfed his power in order to knock her away, but still heavily harm her in the process. He looks at her, and this unseen concussive force knocks her away and immediately has her, like, coughing up blood. She's bleeding from her nose and mouth immediately. But he says, like, pipe down, you insects. If I were afraid of her sword, I would have avoided it. And as she's getting knocked away, Jay Garcia grabs her, and then Sanji sees Bonnie, and before he can even try, because he starts rushing towards Bonnie. But then Jay Garcia hits Sanji with the same thing, and not only is Sanji hit, but you also see the air around Sanji just kick up because this visual force that he outputted not only hit Sanji, but also affected the environment around here, kicking up dust, and you see this massive rush of wind go past Sanji's, like he literally just looking in that direction caused this unseen shockwave to hit Sanji, and Sanji gets bodied immediately. The reason why this is significant and why it showcases just how strong Jay Garcia's power actually is the fact that Sanji's just recently awakened his superhuman abilities that were once dormant within him. Capable abilities that essentially made him very, 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 very durable, to the point where bullets hitting him don't harm him. A sword swung by a person in a full hybrid Zoan state, which is stronger than a full Zoan. A hybrid Zoan state gives you more strength than anything else. He survived getting hit in the face by a hybrid form wielding Zoan, and the sword broke, and all he did was just pull that section of his face back into place. He's literally had his body crushed in numerous places by Queen, but he then had his body just snap back into place, and he's completely fine. His durability is on a whole nother level, yet all it took was Jay Garcia staring at him and hitting him with this unseen visual force, and Sanji is laying on the ground, coughing up blood, holding his head, speechless as to what's been done to him. Sanji literally just showcased that he's far stronger and far more durable than anything we've ever seen Sanji do since Wano. But all it took was Jay Garcia looking at him, and he bodied Sanji to the point where Sanji drew blood. and he's hacking and coughing. Not only that, but it appears that and now here's the thing that I brought up that may or may not be true. Jay Garcia is essentially able to regenerate almost instantaneously as he takes the sword out of his chest, and the very same wound that he suffered from this sword, not only does the wound close up underneath his beard, but the blood that came from him being stabbed also disappeared as well. You don't really see that when you see regeneration. It's one thing to see a person regenerate and then the blood is still there, but it's another thing for a person to regenerate and the blood just straight up disappears, as if it was like under the effects of the Izanagi. Even Frankie is shocked to see that even the blood disappeared from his beard. So we get the vice admirals who are running up, including the one vice admiral who has like the quintuple necks. Everyone's running up going, "Seize Vegapunk's group now while we have the chance!"
"Wait, you fools. Don't be hasty. They cannot escape. Just ready your weapons."
"Yes, sir."
"This is rather sluggish work by your standards, Kizaru."
And we have Kizaru, who's laying in the impact crater that Luffy left him in, saying, "I'm sorry I failed you, and I don't think I'll be mobile anytime soon." This is where I wanted to come back to. Luffy's star gun, Gum Star Gun, was powerful enough to body Kizaru and render him immobile. Kizaru, who was able to shrug off a vast majority of everything that Luffy was, launching his way, cannot move right now because the star gun made this man incapable of getting up. So Kizaru is out for the moment. He's basically useless right now. Then we see Luffy, whose body looks like it's aging because it's suffering the effects of Gear 5. And Garcia goes,
"I think I can understand why.
Let us see," as Garcia prepares to impale Luffy on one of his spider legs, where Frankie comes in and punches away Luffy. Mind you, this is done kind of comically to Luffy, where he kind of spews out blood by being hit by Frankie. And when that happens, Frankie not only knocks away Luffy, but he also grabs onto him, with Garcia going,
"I see. A pirate crew that cooperates."
Now, here's something that I definitely didn't really pick up on.
"I see. A pirate crew that cooperates."
What if he is thinking of the Rocks Pirates when he says, like,
"I see. A pirate crew that cooperates. Unlike the Rocks Pirates who couldn't cooperate with one another."
It's just a random thought. It's just in my head, but what if this is the first instance as well? Like, wait,
a pirate crew that cooperates? Complete opposite of Rocks.
I know, it's a shot in the dark, but that just popped into my head. But Luffy gets grabbed by Frankie, going like, "So even the guys who rule the world want our captain's head, huh?" And then Luffy goes, and then Frankie's all like, Garcia goes,
"Straw Hat Luffy, Jewelry Bonnie, we failed to anticipate your presence here. But if your fate is strong enough to escape this desperate situation, I would very much like to see it. And you, Vegapunk, your betrayal is most disappointing, but your great service to our military is appreciated. Which of you should die first? Tell me. From least to most painful. I want you to die with nothing but regret for your rebellion against the world government. Why is it that human beings feel the need to do what they are explicitly forbidden from doing?"
And it shows Garcia slowly crushing Bonnie in his hands, and this is hurting her because she's screaming and coughing up blood as well, with Sanji going, "No, stop!
Can anyone else move?"
"No, I can't. It's like I'm being held down."
Because around Frankie, Vegapunk, and Sanji, this force is keeping them from even moving. So not only can he make your average person's head explode, but he can also do it in a way where it's incredibly powerful concussive force that can render someone as strong as Sanji on the ground and bleeding and coughing up blood, but he can also use it as a suppressive force, allowing him to keep people from just literally moving in his vicinity. And mind you, this is also Sanji still. Someone who's capable of moving at speeds faster than the eye can see. Incredible leg strength. Incredible body strength overall. And yet Sanji can't move. At all. And then Bonnie just goes,
You killed my father, Saturn.
Kuma, you mean. He was born into a slave caste, the descendant of a clan that once committed a grave crime against the world. The last survivor of the extinct buccaneer people.
And this is something that, surprises Vegapunk. And then Bonnie's just thinking of her dad. Ever since I was a boy, I wanted to be a hero who could save the imprisoned and suffering. Just like Nika, the warrior of liberation.
Aim for the head, men.
And all the vice admirals and rear admirals start to aim towards Bonnie.
Nika?
That's right. He's my idol. He appears from the blue with laughter in this rhythm. Doom da da da. Doom da da da. Bonnie!
Leave her alone! She's still just a child! Will he come and free me too?
Of course. And that's when we start to get the backstory of Kuma. 47 years ago in the South Blue of the Sorbet Kingdom, we have the father and mother of Kuma the day he's born. And his father's all like, doctor, his blood, don't worry, I won't speak a word of it, which is like, okay, who are the Buccaneer people? But while that goes on, I'm sorry, Clap, run for your life, government agent showed up at the hospital! I'm sorry, I'm so sorry! It's me, I'm the one who has Buccaneer blood! And when the Navy, it's Clap saying that his wife and son should go free, all three of them get imprisoned and forced to become slaves for celestial dragons. All three of them. Where Kuma is basically this slave of burden, where he's forced to carry heavy things, such as entire crates and pottery and all sorts of things for celestial dragons as well. Getting berated and beaten. Kuma crying in his quarters, crying, I want to say he's crying outside. He's outside. Actually, he's outside. He's not inside. He's outside. They got this boy outside. With one of the celestial dragons threatening to stop bawling or I'll kill you. And then as we see Kuma with his father, he goes like, "Hi there, Kuma. How are you doing?"
Hi, Dad. My master is so kind and gentle. I'm very lucky.
And that's that celestial dragon brainwashing at work right there. Wouldn't be surprised, and I remember what Whitebeard said in 964 about his time on rocks. Probably was considering whether we find out next chapter or later this chapter. Exactly. I can't wait to get to that next chapter. I can't wait to get to that one. It's snowing. It's snowing? Huh? Don't do that. Snowing? Where? Let's probably consider what we find out next chapter or later this chapter. I'll be off. My family's going trick-or-treating, and I'm being dragged along. All right, Halster, you enjoy yourself. Hope you enjoyed your time while you was here during this reflection. But, yeah, you enjoy yourself. Happy Halloween to you. But, we see Clap talking to his son, Kuma, and we see that the celestial dragon brainwashing where it's like, my master is so nice and so kind. I'm very lucky. He's so kind and gentle. And my thing is, you don't say that to an individual who beats you at every turn. If he's so kind and gentle, why are you covered in bruises? Why is every single slave in Marijwal covered in bruises?
My master is so kind and gentle.
Kind and gentle do not go with a body covered in scrapes, bruises, cuts, and pain. That's abusement. But you can clearly see that celestial dragon brainwashing at work. if you harm a person enough times, they're willing to accept your word as law to a degree, which is kind of messed up that that's actually something that's a real thing. Like many abusers like try and gaslight individuals into thinking like you're better off with me. No one's going to love you as much as I have, and you won't ever leave me or anything like that. And they promise love, but they only give you pain in return. It's so incredibly messed up that there are people out there who think that if I mentally manipulate this person to stay with me, regardless of how much I harm them physically, mentally, or emotionally, or even or psychologically, they'll just accept it because I made them think that there's no other place they can be except with me. It is incredibly messed up that that's a thought process that people still use today. So when I see it here, it's all like, I hate that. I hate that. But we see Clap talking to his son, and then we find out that Kuma's mom has passed, saying that she's in heaven now, but I think she's better off that way. And this shocks Kuma, who's thinking to himself and crying, "Listen, Kuma, you are strong. You can survive this." "Why? I'd rather be dead too," which just shows you that so much for, like, he literally just said not too long ago, "My master is so kind. I'm really very lucky." And then he's also talking to his dad about like, "Well, I'd rather be dead too." So yeah, he's saying all that in public, but behind the scenes, he wouldn't mind dying. The warrior of liberation will come. He'll show up and save you. Who? The sun god Nika. He's a legendary warrior whose story is told throughout our Buccaneer heritage. Now, my thing is, I was talking to Gajil about this, I believe, on Sunday, about how much the Buccaneer people have Kuma in their lineage. I mean, from Clap saying, like, he's a legendary warrior whose story is told throughout our Buccaneer heritage. Kind of the same way the story of Calgara and Nolan was told throughout the heritage of the Shandian people, to a degree. Like, Nika is to the Buccaneer people what Calgara is to the Shandians. But the difference is, however, is that Nika is on a whole nother level than Calgara, because Nika is regarded as the warrior of liberation, and he has also known as the first Joy Boy, and also wielded a power that the world government tried to get their hands on for 8 centuries. For 800 years, they tried to get their hands on the power of Nika, and they never could. So the story of Nika mixed with the Buccaneer people may give us some of the most insightful knowledge of One Piece that we may ever see. I'm just saying, when we find out more about the Buccaneer people, because that name is already substantial, but the more we find out about it, I honestly feel we'll finally understand more about Nika himself. Find out who maybe the first Joy Boy was. There's so many questions. But continuing on, Clap says, "One day he'll show up and take you out under the sun to the freedom of the sea." Nika is always smiling and laughing, and his rhythm brings laughter to the people. Doom da da da, doom da da da. And while Clap is, making that sound, making that rhythm with his son, a celestial dragon immediately shows up and kills him right in front of Kuma. With that one particular celestial dragon saying, "Pipe down!" Then we cut to 38 years ago in the West Blue, and it shows multiple celestial dragons in this one location. "You have waited 3 long years, so now it is time again for our great sport, the native hunting competition. Our arena this time shall be the unaffiliated land of God Valley!" And then the celestial dragons are happy that they're going to be doing this native hunting here at God Valley. So, what we're seeing here in this particular chapter, is the prelude of events before the God Valley incident, which pretty much confirmed my suspicions when I read through this chapter initially. So I was right. this really was the preceding events before the God Valley incident happened.
This place, which has the audacity to name itself the Valley of God, possesses ample natural resources. We will hold our customary manhunt here and claim this island for the world government.
In other words, they're going to... Well, let me just continue.
How dare you! You intend to kill my people for a game? It's insanity! This is our land!
Your Majesty!
And then this individual, this king, the king of God Valley, is immediately killed by a 38 years young Figureland Garland. And we have the Celestial Dragons, excited to see him there, and even the female Celestial Dragons going like,
"Oh, he's so dreamy!"
and like swooning.
Oh, not so fast, St. Garling. No head starts. He's already struck down the king of the natives. Every favorite St. Garling will start with negative 10,000 points.
The handicap will make for better competition. Holy Knight St. Figureland Garling.
In addition to the native rabbits, we have a selection of problem slaves and criminals to hunt.
And we also see Jay Garcia, who is there as well. Now, the thing I wanted to bring up is the fact that this is the earliest. This is now chronologically the earliest we see the 5 elders in the One Piece story. Even earlier than Robin, because at this point, Robin wasn't even born yet. So, this is the earliest we see the Gorosei. And we see Jay Garcia, who's here, present for this whole competition. So, Garcia is older than pretty much every substantial person that we've seen in One Piece. When you think about it, he's pretty much older than every single person we've witnessed. Every single pirate we've witnessed, he's older than all of them. Garcia was around before any of these big name pirates started to have a big name for themselves in general. He's not just him, but pretty much every other member of the Gorosei as well. They've all been around. And the thing that sticks out to me the most is the fact that even though we are many decades in the past, he still looks exactly the same. Now, the thing is, people age. People age in One Piece. Garp, at the start, had like gray hair, and then his hair turned completely white during the time skip. Sengoku's hair was black, and then his hair turned gray during the time skip. Many people have aged. Even Mihawk has aged a little bit. He's gained like noticeable wrinkles under his eye, though he still looks kind of youthful. Hancock is Hancock. She will never physically age, but people age in One Piece. And that's just over 2 years. Those are just people we've noticed over 2 years. Shanks has gone from being this, and I know it's also part of the drawing style as well, but Shanks has gone from looking like this regular pirate into a man of status. Like, physically, he's gone beyond what he looked like in the beginning. So, people have aged, Ben Beckman's aged, everybody has aged, yet the Gorosei have not changed appearance for decades. For literal decades. And it's so odd. Like, there's so many theories. My favorite theory, which is one that I say multiple times, but also other people say as well, is that they were all they all had, like, the perennial youth operation done on them. Like, the ultimate, the eternal youth surgery done on them, each individually, to allow them to live all these years. Now, it doesn't make them invincible, it just means that they don't age at all. That's my outstanding theory of why they all look the same. But the fact that they haven't aged at all and no one's bat an eye and no one's questioned it. Mind you, the only people that could actually question it are people in the Navy, and they don't even question them anyway. I'm pretty sure it's a thought on everyone's mind, in the back of their mind, silently, to themselves. These people have never aged at all. Ozzy, how far are we into the reflections? We are on chapters 1095. We are at the end. We're actually at the end of this chapter, Because going back to this, coming off of Jay Garcia, and the fact that it says, they caught the escaped child, sir, the Buccaneer boy, which shows that Kuma is there on God Valley, along with slave Ginny and slave Emporio Ivankov, which is the first meeting of Ivankov and Kuma, which would later turn into an eternal friendship, up until the moment where Kuma became this cold, mindless weapon for the world government. But other slaves are going, darn you for running away. They're going to hold all 10 of us responsible for you. If you escape, they'll kill every last one of us. And then Kuma goes, hee-ha! Hey, hold it right there. You must be the grand prize, the Buccaneer. Ah, no wonder you're so big. You've got giant's blood, I hear. And then we have Ginny going, my bro's pretty big too, huh? Only my face. Hey, shut up. Look at all those gloomy, miserable faces. Well, I choose life. What about you? And this is the first meeting of Kuma with Emporio Ivankov. In events that would lead into the God Valley incident. So, to the final chapter that we got in October, chapter 1096, Kumachi. This is the one where we see more of Kuma's history. As we have the Celestial Dragons announce, we've already introduced the 13 super rare rabbits. They're worth 10,000 points each. There are also 150 rare rabbits. One hit kills will earn you an excellence bonus. And we have some very fine prizes indeed for the champion. And we have Figureland going, watch this, children. And then we have another Celestial Dragon who goes, that trophy will belong to the Manmare family. And then we have another individual who goes, you won't win this one, Garling, who looks eerily similar to one of the children that was present with Mother Caramel way back when Big Mom was first introduced. And we have another individual as well, and then we have people running, mothers holding their children, who are they're all about to be hunted. They're all about to be hunted by the Holy Knights and the Celestial Dragons as well. You can't do this, it's unconscionable. And I just saw that word when I was playing Hades yesterday, and I was thinking to myself, is that how you say that word? You can't do this, it's unconscionable! Wake me up from this nightmare! Human beings shouldn't treat other humans as toys! And while this is going on, the Celestial Dragons is just gunning people down, because the competition's already started. Not so fast, boys, obey the rules! Meanwhile, there are 200 world noble hunters. The hunt will begin in an hour. Run and hide, rabbits! Then we cut to Navy headquarters.
Why such a remote island? I can't tell you. Please, Garp, just go. We're not certain yet, but we can't afford to take chances.
Oh, is this the Celestial Dragon's little field trip? I warned you not to mess with Full of Lead, but who listens to me? That was treasure from Pirate Island. Of course they'll come to get it back. So it just confirms that the devil fruits and the prizes that were present on God Valley were actually belonged to the Pirates of Island Full of Lead beforehand. The Celestial Dragon stole them first. Or they had people steal it for them. I imagine they didn't actually go there to physically take it. Because, they're all cowards who think that their status is enough to keep people from, retaliating against them. But all the things that we find out were at God Valley actually came from Pirate Island Full of Lead first. The world government just stole it from them and used it as prizes in a weird, twisted sort of way. That was treasure from Pirate Island. Of course they'll come back to get it.
Who leaked that information?
Hey, they got plenty of security, right? Why the fear?
Well, the thing is, we didn't think Roger would get involved.
Lead with that next time! I'm going!
Now, mind you, in this panel, we see Garp just chilling. Just chilling at a pool. We see some ladies at the pool in the distance. I recognize those hourglass figures. I recognize them instantly. It's ingrained in my brain because I'm a man of culture. But Garp is just chilling. He don't care what the Celestial Dragons are doing. But the moment that Kong, and mind you, this is then Fleet Admiral Kong, when he mentions that Roger is getting involved as well, Garb is all like, okay, vacation over, it's time to go back to work. Cause Garb is just chilling. He's got like his beach shorts on. He's got like an open Hawaiian shirt. Is it Hawaiian shirt? No, he's got like an open shirt, just chilling back in a chair, just catching some Z's and soaking up all the rays. When you have hockey, you can't get skin cancer apparently, because you can just be out in the sun all day with absolutely no sunscreen. That's how powerful hockey truly does transcend all, including the harm of UV rays. But he's just chilling in the back, just chilling, feet all laid out at the end. But as soon as Kong says like, we didn't think Roger would get involved, huh? It's like his eyes open up like Squidward when SpongeBob tried to stay over his house that one time. He's all like, huh? And he immediately gets up. So we go to Pirate Island Full of Land, where we get some other pirates going, they got the jump on us. The Rock's pirates have already left.
We gotta catch up, come on.
This is a huge deal in the pirating world. Then we cut to God Valley in the West Blue.
The island's surrounded. I've never seen this many Navy ships before. Of course there's no escape. The reality of this atrocity itself will be erased from history.
And then we see more celestial dragons running around, killing more civilians. And we even see, and to make it more impactful, you see more civilians getting gunned down while they're holding their children. So it just shows you that the celestial dragons have absolutely no qualms whatsoever. The fact they call people rabbits is sickening. Yeah. It's sick. It's sick. It's inhumane. Now, the reason why this strikes a chord with both Ozzy and me, and many of us already, is like, normal, sensible human beings wouldn't treat other human beings this way. If you have common sense and morals, you would not consider treating people as if they were animals to be hunted. So to see this happen to people, it's like, we know this is how the celestial dragons operate, but it doesn't make it any better. I mean, it never will. Think the Godosei are at most 800 years old because Warcury said Nika hasn't awakened since then, and the fruit was a legend even to them? I wouldn't be surprised if the Godosei have been around since the very formation of the world government. Because like I said, and I brought this up before, especially, I believe I brought this up when all the names of the Godosei was fully brought up in a chapter. The Godosei don't seem like the type of group where they would have a changing of the guard, if you will, or have a successor, or have that title passed on to anyone else. They seem like the individuals who got the job first, and then immediately tried to find a way to make sure that they could keep that job for the rest of time. Because if I say the rest of their lives, it's like, it doesn't mean much if you're kind of immortal and you don't age. So it just makes me think that they did in fact become they became immortal, and they've always had this position after all these years. Now, if I'm wrong, I'm definitely going to remember me saying this, but if I'm right, then these dudes have been here since the very formation of the world government and have been overseeing its ascension as the greatest power in the world after all these years, which is insane when you think about it, because that makes them some of the oldest living beings in all of One Piece, even more than Giant Leader Yorl and Jarl from Elbaf. And if I go up, what is it? If I go to Yorl, he is 344 years old. He's 300. If the Gorosei have been around since the formation of the world government, that would make them the oldest living beings in all of One Piece, period. Yeah, Yorl was 344, Jarl was 345. Status currently unknown. But if we're right, the Gorosei are the oldest living beings, along with Im-sama, in One Piece. Literally almost 200 years short of being a millennium old. A full millennium, because a millennium is 1,000 years. A century is just 100. So for 8 centuries, they've probably been around. So which is a crazy theory to think of, because it's kind of possible, given what we've recently learned about people who can become immortal, thanks to the Ope Ope no Mi. But we'll talk about that later. So continue. Let me see. What if the thief had the clear fruit? It'd be interesting if a person who stole the fruits had the fruit that Absalom would later have, who then Shiryu would later have after killing Absalom. But who knows? God's Knights probably were the ones who snuck in, killed the fodder pirates that were there. Yeah, it sounds likely. So I guess Zunisha is the only one older than them. Yeah, because Zunisha is about 1,000 years old. Because if I go to Zunisha, and I know I keep saying Zunisha, but it actually is Zunisha, even though it's spelled with a Zunesha, so you could say Zunesha, but it's Zunisha. It's Zunisha. But the age is over 1,000 years old. So, for human beings, the Gorosei are probably the oldest living people in One Piece, whereas Zunisha is the oldest living thing in One Piece. Because, I mean, as far as we know, there's nothing older than Zunisha, since Zunisha is over 1,000. Not 1,000, over 1,000. We don't know the exact age. But continuing forward, people are getting gunned down by the Celestial Dragons. They've concocted this sick murder game to drive off the inhabitants of this island so they can take its resources. Would you believe that the 100,000 rabbits who live on this island will all be dead to the very last man in just 3 weeks? Is this real life, or is this hell? But if we can survive the next 3 weeks, we'll be free, goes one individual. And mind you, a lot of the people who are getting gunned down and hunted by the Celestial Dragons, it's not the inhabitants. Well, actually, it is the inhabitants, because pretty much all of them have targets on their backs. They literal drawn targets on their backs. They literally have drawn targets on their backs, so to make it more efficient for the Celestial Dragons to shoot them in the back. But Ivankov says, "Stop dreaming, fool. The total number of survivors of all of these games combined is 0. Now, my thing is, Ivankov said games. Plural. How many islands were a part of this rabbit hunting competition? Because if Ivankov says all of these games combined is 0, how many games have there been? It's like the same question I posed, like, how many places have been... It's the same question. Sorry, I was reading comments. It's like the same question of how many islands have been erased from the world government's map. Now it's making me think, how many games have there been for these Celestial Dragons to do these hunting expeditions? How many games? How many nations have been wiped clean? Could that have been how the Lunarians went out? Entire civilizations wiped clean for its resources? Because think about it. If they're doing this at God Valley because God Valley has valuable resources, and they want to wipe away all of the inhabitants, the top of the red line used to be the place where people were known as gods before the Celestial Dragons showed up. What if that was the first game? They wiped out all the Lunarians except for King, who managed to get away. And in their place, they created Marijois and the world government, which would later be what it is today. So what if the Lunarians were the first people to suffer one of these rabbit hunting games? I'm just making a very big assumption here. There may not be any validity to it due to the fact that Lunarians are known for their hardiness and their extreme durability. So it's not like they would just lay down and die and take this sort of thing. It's just a random thought popped up to my head. Pay it no mind. Just take it with a grain of salt. But I'm just thinking, how many games have there been, and how many years have they been playing these games? How often do they play these rabbit hunting competitions? How many times? It's probably been a hot minute because this is 38 years in the past. So it's been three decades, almost 4 decades since the last rabbit hunting competition. But yeah, so much is happening in this chapter. So, continuing on, stop dreaming, fool. The total number of survivors of all of these games combined is 0. Huh? But why would they tell us that just to give us hope? Because hope makes for good sport. See, fear can be a very powerful motivator, but hope can be a very powerful motivator to live. And that makes it entertaining for individuals who want you to run and scamper and cling at life with the best of your abilities, so that when they kill you, it's more satisfying to bring your life to an end. But Ivankov continues with pretty much what I said. I'm just going off of my own understanding of that whole ideal, but Ivankov goes, because it's the hope that makes us struggle and run. What's so fun about killing people who only fall to the ground in abject despair? Don't waste your time dreaming of salvation in this sick game. We have to escape the game itself. And as this goes on, Figureland Garling is cutting a swath through tons and tons of people. And St. Garland... Wait. Did they give him the incorrect name? Because isn't it Garling? Isn't it Garling? Figureland Garling. Or do they just call him Garland? Because it calls him Garland here, not Garling. So that might have been like a... Yeah, Saint Figureland Garling. So they call him Garling. They call him Garland here. Yeah, it's just a grammatical thing. Pay it no mind. It just happens from time to time. But remember how he started with negative 10,000 points, and he's already at 100,000. So he really hasn't wasted any time just killing tons of people to get his score all the way up to the 100,000 point mark. Is he going for the high-value rabbits? And this is being broadcast to all the rest of the Celestial Dragons who didn't take part in this competition back at Marijois. And then we have a Fishman individual who cuts off the chains of Ivankov. And then we find out that from Ginny, the prizes for the event are the key to our escape. And we find out that the prizes that the Celestial Dragons of the world government stole from Pirate Island full of lead is the fish fruit model Azure Dragon, and the pawpaw fruit, that Kuma would later have for himself. So when Big Mom was talking about, like, had it not been for me giving you that treasure, you wouldn't be as strong as you were now, all that stuff, you owe me a life debt, where it turns out that, yeah, they already had these fruits, but it was stolen from them, and they went to go get them back. And it was after that point that Kaido managed to eat the fish fruit. They've got one of the most powerful devil fruits in existence. It allows whoever eats it to transform into a mythical Azure Dragon. And also the pawpaw fruit, which allows a user to send others and themselves to distant islands. They're both here on God Valley. If any of us can eat them, the dozens of us here can get past the Navy blockade and escape this. And then one of the citizens, one of the slaves, one of the rabbits. I don't want to refer to them as rabbits because that just seems... It's like calling a regular mortal human person in Harry Potter a muggle. I don't like using that term. It just seems so derogatory. But one of the other citizens goes like, no, we can't. The prizes are in the center of the island.
But I'm a pro at thieving, tapping, and transmissions. 2 weeks ago, I managed to send a message about the island to the outside.
So it's thanks to Ginny that this whole God Valley incident takes place. Now, mind you, The Rocks pirates never would have known where God Valley was had Ginny not sent that message out. Garp wouldn't have tried to go there. Roger wouldn't have tried to go there. It's all thanks to Ginny that we got not the Rocky Port incident, that we got the God Valley incident. My thing is, how old is she? And she did that, and she just sent a transmission out and got everyone's attention? And now we got Rocks on the way, we got Garp on the way, we got Roger on the way. All thanks to her. She's the reason why we have the God Valley incident. Ain't that silly? It's Garling, chop it up to a typo error from Oda. I would say it's a typo error from the translators. Because this does happen, and it's not just with One Piece. It tends to be with a lot of other series as well, where you get like these big typos that shouldn't be there. So it's not just with One Piece. But Jenny says, anyway, for our plan, we're going to need a decoy. And Kuma just volunteers himself. And he says, I'll do it. Kuma, I'm big and hardy, so I can survive longer than others. And I don't want to see anyone die anyway. And Ginny is just looking, and here's the thing. Ginny is looking at Kuma with, like, glistening eyes. And Kuma goes,
Hee-haw! Well said, Kuma. I won't let them kill you. Let's get off of God Valley together.
And then we see one of the Navy ships getting blown up as we cut to one of them going, the Rocks pirates east of the island!
But why? It's not just them either. There are more ships coming. They're all infamous pirates.
Why didn't we hear about this? What do they want?
They're here to steal back the stuff you stole from them. What you think? And as this is going on, we hear a voice go,
You waste your time, Navy. Follow me, Rocks pirates!
And this turns out to be Rocks, but we don't see him. And then we get the big showcasing of everyone in the Rocks pirates. We get Whitebeard. We get Stussy. We get Big Mom. We get Kaido. We get the first canonical appearance of Shiki, the Golden Lion. We get Silver Axe. We get Wangzhe. We get Captain John. And we also find out in this chapter that Gloriosa, Granny Nyon from Amazon Lily, was also a member of the Rocks Pirates. So, not only did we find out more about Amazon Lily as a whole, like Shaki was the Empress before Hancock, was the Empress of Amazon Lily before Hancock, before she left and married Rayleigh, which is, you know, happy for her. That's one of the most wholesome marriages in all of One Piece, other than Sudu and Kinemon. But we also find out that Granny Nyon, who was the Empress before Shaki, was also a member of the most powerful pirate crew in their time. This is before Roger became the incredibly prominent pirate that he was. And this is before Garp became the hero of the Marines. Gloriosa was part of this cabal. This is something. But we get Whitebeard. I just know that fool Rocks will lose sight of the gold. We have to be certain first. And then Shiki, stop acting like you're the leader here. I'll blow them all up. And then Big Mom,
let's just steal what we're after and scram all these dreamers with their heads in the clouds.
Then Kaido,
I hear Roger's on the move. He's the last man I'll let.
Calm down, kid,
goes Big Mom to Kaido.
Today's the final fight, I assume.
And this is Stussy, who was very accurate with her assumption, because it would be the end of the Rocks Pirates on this very day. So, yeah, she really trusted her gut feeling there. Only wish if the Rocks Pirates trusted their gut, they'd probably still be around now. But no. But we get Captain John, who's all like, that's the idea. Then Gloriosa,
we'll settle it once and for all.
And then we get, I'm guessing this is either Wangzhe or Silver Axe, because it doesn't put their names up, because they're in the background. They're in the background. Mind you, they get like panels to themselves. There are other people inside this panel with Whitebeard, Kaido, and everyone else, but only these two individuals get a separate panel where they don't speak and they're like in shadow with the rest of these prominent people that we know the names of. So I don't know which one is which. I don't know which one is which yet. But when that happens, the Rocks pirates have made landfall, and the Celestial Dragons are like, what is the Navy doing if they lay a single finger on us? Reporting in, pirate crews are converging from all over. How to get out? This was top secret. Their purpose here is unclear. Watch out on the western shore. It's the Roger Pirates! And Roger and his crew, which includes a lot of people who we see later in life, like the one dwarf stubby dude with the big, massive beard. We see Gabon. We see Rayleigh. Roger wielding his sword, and he also has the straw hat. And this is Roger before he grew out that prominent mustache. He has it appears to be stubble on his chin. If my eyesight is on my side today, well, not saying that it's not on my side because I have good eyesight, but if my eyesight is correct, that looks like a little stubble on his chin, given that there's like a couple of small lines on it. But this is him before he gets his mustache going. It's been a whole year. Do you have any idea how I felt all this time? No special privileges for the captain here, Roger. And this is Gabon saying this. And then Rayleigh's going, this is going to be a wild one. And then the citizens are all like, what's happening? Because there's explosions everywhere. And while this is going on, Garp, along with Bogart and his squad, they all roll up as well, going like, tell me where to find Roger! Like, he's not concerned with the Celestial Dragons. He's not concerned, and I brought this up with Gagio. He doesn't care about the Celestial Dragons. Doesn't even care about the pirate crew, other pirate crews that came with Rocks. Doesn't even care about Rocks Pirates. About the Rocks Pirates, which includes Big Mom, Kaido, and Whitebeard, and all these very powerful pirates. He doesn't care about any of them. He's all like, where is Roger? How much of a threat is Roger for you to overlook Rocks and his crew, and you only center in on Roger himself? How much of a threat are you? Where you ignore the strongest pirate crew in the world, and you center in on one man? I brought this up with Gagio. Like, that's a threat. How? And Streusen is there as well. You can barely see him, though. Yeah, I brought it up when I reacted to it Sunday. He was right underneath the exclamation point, along with the rest of the Rocks Pirates. He's literally obscured by the double exclamation points. You know, like, doom. He's obscured by that. So Streusen's there as well. So Streusen was part of the Rocks Pirates too, which is something. Which is really something. He must have been the cook. I mean, he is a cook. His devil fruit allows him to turn anything into food, but the food isn't very good. But I imagine that I imagine that he fulfilled the role of cook on the Rocks Pirates crew. But back to Roger and Garp. See, every single time I see anything about Roger in One Piece, anything from like old clips from like 2 years ago, kind of like how Akainu centered on Luffy when Teach was wreaking havoc on Marineford, pretty much. Apparently, along with what's possibly Silver Axe, the two pirates Whitebeard's left might be some of Moria's general zombies as well. I know who you're talking about. The one that has like the little helm on his head and he looks like he has that big old beard. I know who you're talking about. But, and Ozzy say Gloriosa was a babe. What happened? Age. Because look at original Stussy. Look at Miss Bucking. Look at Miss Bucking. She is the polar opposite of how she looked when she was younger. Stussy, the Stussy that we know now is her clone, her young clone. But the real Stussy, the original Stussy, yeah, she joined Granignon in shrinking in size and levels of beauty. It's like Grandpa Hio from Wano. He was big and hefty and strong looking, but as soon as he got old, he turned into Yoda. Age can do that to you in One Piece. Only if you're the incredibly strong do you get to keep your original size. Like, look at Garp. This man is you're right, yet Shaki looks just fine. Yeah, ain't that something? But here's the thing, Shaki isn't as old as Gloriosa is. You know what? I love going over to the One Piece wiki. Gloriosa. Ave Maria. They don't give her age. We know what her birth date is, but we don't have her age. Interesting. But she's incredibly old. We know she's incredibly old. Yes, former empress of the Kuja tribe from 1 generation before Shaki, 2 generations before an unknown Kuja, and 3 generations before Boa Hancock took over. So we don't know Gloriosa's age. Kureha also looks good for her age. I mean, if you don't look at her face, everything else with her is like still young in comparison, but it's just her face that hasn't really aged gracefully, if you will. But how much, and I gotta get back to this, how much of a threat is Roger to Garp that Garp looks over everyone else and immediately wants to find him? Roger, okay, so here's the thing. And I gotta continue what I said earlier. Every single time I see Roger in One Piece, the dude's a legend. He's just flat out a legend. When I look at his old clips, like when he when he slashed Odin with Kamusari or Divine Departure, both versions of Roger's voice, both Japanese and English, are phenomenal. Every single time I see Roger, he's either co-chilling, he's either enjoying himself, he's the epitome of freedom, of fun, of living life to the fullest. So, but we also know that Roger was a force to be reckoned with, even from a young age, because all the things that Roger did throughout his time, he never had any devil fruit powers. He just had pure strength and hockey. And the fact that he was able to not only achieve the impossible, which was circumnavigate the entire world, see everything that they had to offer. Hold on, I wanted to make sure that nothing happened. My screen sort of flickered a little bit. See everything the world was able to offer, find the One Piece, learn everything about the world, fight anybody, and win. Even when the fact that when you look at the things that Roger has done in his time, the feats that he's accomplished, it makes you wonder, okay, how did no one was able to stop Roger? I mean, even Garp says he was pretty much unstoppable about it. Okay, so let me go through this because I love to read up about things about Roger. When you go to his capabilities and everything he was able to achieve. So, Roger was hailed as one of the strongest pirates of all time, if not the strongest, considered nearly unstoppable in battle. As the Pirate King, he retains the highest status among all the world's pirates, even post-mortem. Elucidating this is the truly enormous bounty he had prior to his death, with 5,564,800,000 berries. This we know because of the Ultimate Chapter. Thank you, Ogata, for telling me. I think it was either Ogata or someone else who told me on Sunday to go back to that chapter about the history of rocks or whatever. In addition, unlike the majority of the most powerful individuals in the world, Roger never had any devil fruit powers, which makes him even more impressive. Very few people are known to have ever matched Roger in battle. Most prominently, the legendary hero of the Marines, Monkey D. Garp, said to have cornered Roger multiple times before his surrender. You couldn't even kill this man, he just straight up surrendered. According to Roger himself, he also considered Sengoku, the then future fleet admiral who wielded the power of a golden Buddha mythical Zoan, as one of the two Marines that were worth his time. Aside from his animosity with the Marines, all right, we're back. Things were getting lively out there, and I didn't want that getting into the mic. So we got to continue with Roger. Aside from his animosity with the Marines, Roger's second foremost pirate rival was Whitebeard, who wielded the strongest Paramecia-type devil fruit and was renowned as the strongest man in the world, even before Roger's death. Another person known to rival Roger was Rox D. Zebek, who was considered to be his first and most formidable rival, even more so than his former subordinate Whitebeard would come to be, as it took the combined efforts of both Roger and Garp to finally defeat Rox. So that's the big thing right there. With the God Valley incident, it took both Roger and Garp to take down Rox. So now the question is, how strong is Rox? If it took both Roger and Garp to bring him down. These two legends in One Piece. One who would become a legend forever cemented in the history of the Marines. And another who would later become the greatest example of being a pirate in the world of One Piece. It took both Roger and Garp to bring down Rox. How strong was Rox? Because Garp ain't no joke, especially young Garp. Roger ain't no joke, especially young Roger. It just makes you think, if it took both of them to bring down Rox, which led to the complete dissolution, the abolition, if you will, of the Rox pirates, and they all went their separate ways and never joined up again after that? How bad was that beatdown? Just a question for later. But going off of that, just knowing that, I mean, Roger's this strong, physical capabilities, easily able to contend with Odin, clash evenly with a young Whitebeard who, even in his old age, could overpower giants. Immense levels of endurance and vitality, even when his body was ravaged by an incurable disease. Managed to conquer the entire Grand Line in 3 years. So now my thing is, just how strong was Rox for him to have to require both the combined efforts of Roger and Garp to bring him down? I know I've repeated this multiple times, but it's such a good question. So, going back to this, we see Roger coming in, and we have Garling going like, pull back the sailors and have them guard the celestial dragons. Pathetic. What was the point of the blockade? The Holy Knights will handle this. So we got the Roger Pirates, the Rox Pirates, Garp and his crew, and the Holy Knights getting involved in this big titanic brawl that would later become known as the God Valley Incident. So Garp is there as well, saying like, tell me where to find Roger! And as there's absolute chaos all over this place, Ivankov and Kuma get their hands on the Pawpaw Fruit and the mythical Azure Dragon Devil Fruit. But before either one can eat the fruit, Big Mom comes in and bodies Ivankov and takes the Azure Dragon Devil Fruit. But Kuma manages to scarf down the Pawpaw Fruit, with Ivankov going like, and then we've won! But then Jay Garcia comes in and punches away Kuma. So my thing is, how strong is Jay Garcia for him to just casually punch away Kuma like that? This is like one of the first times we see Jay Garcia actually physically assault a person. Well, actually, this is the first time we see him physically with his hand assault a person. Not just grabbing a person like he did with Bonnie, but physically punch away an individual and send Kuma flying. And mind you, Kuma was not bleeding as much as he was in the next few panels. Like, he punched away Kuma and Kuma's just bleeding over his face. And we can also see the flames and lightning coming up behind him, meaning that he teleported directly over to where Kuma was and knocked him away, going,
"The Buccaneer boy. Your only options are slavery and death. History itself chose them for you."
And then Kuma drops some of the coldest lines in this chapter. Kyushu, on my next voice stream, can I do a conversation between Roger and All Might? Ooh, that sounds interesting. I'll probably have to do that. I gotta schedule it sometime, but I'll keep it in mind, Cycle. I'll definitely do it. Because it would be an interesting conversation.
Hey there! I hear you're this big phenomenal hero in this place you call Japan.
And I hear you're this big, powerful pirate from the East Blue, or at least from the Grand Line.
Hey, you seem like a strong individual. Want to join me on this voyage I'm doing? We're going around the world, seeing everything it has to offer.
You know what? I got this one kid I'm training to be this superhero, so maybe give me a little bit of time, and then I'll go travel with you.
Great! Ha 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 ha! Ha 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 ha! Ha 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 ha!
You know, something like that. But I don't know. I'm just making it up as I go. But we come back with Kuma dropping the coldest line towards towards Jay Garcia, going,
Are you important, mister? It doesn't make sense that you're born important. And there's no reason for someone to be born a slave. If I've got some kind of power, then I want to be like Nika. And save as many of these unfortunate people as I possibly can.
Which is why you people will vanish for good.
And then we have someone going, wait, rocks!
Out of my way, Roger!
This event would be lost to the dark shadows of history. Of what will later be known as the God Valley Incident. And then we find out that Morgans, at this time, Morgans is a writer. He's not the head of the world news coup group, but he's a writer, and he's the one that put up the news of only Garp's heroics, and that's how Garp became known as the hero of the Marines. So it's thanks to Morgans writing this propaganda piece for the world government that I believe cemented his position as an individual that the world government could come to kind of steer the paper in a certain way. So I wouldn't be surprised if the news of the God Valley incident is what gave Morgans more to work with later in life in terms of the news, and putting it out there. This one incident, as it made the Navy look good, and it made the world government look good, but it also didn't tell about the Rocks Pirates and anything that they did, Roger showing up or anybody else. It just talks about, the Rocks Pirates being defeated and Garp being the one to take care of everything, even though it was Garp and Roger who did it. But we're back at the Sorbet Kingdom in the South Blue, where we're at a church, and Kuma's inside praying, and Ivankov is all like, knock it off, amidst all the chaos and violence, you saved over 500 lives back there. With him asking, why are you still praying, Kuma? Thinking of the other lives I could have saved. And then we have Ginny who's crying. Everyone was crying with gratitude, even I was. And then it shows that on Kuma's hands are the trademark paw pads that come with, using that power. So I'm pretty sure later on in life he would start wearing gloves so that way he can function as a normal human. But Ivankov leaves, saying that, well, it's time for me to go to sea. I've got to make the most of this freedom. For as long as I live, Eva, I'll never forget your face, which will be words that Ivankov would later remember in his life, because this would not be the last time that he and Kuma would see each other. They would see each other again when they would join up with the revolutionaries in Dragon. But that's something that stuck with Kuma, because actually, when you think about it, when we got first in, you know what? It just dawned on me. The whole thing about Ivankov saying, like, how could you not recognize my face and all that, it stems from Kuma saying, I'll never forget your face. So now Ivankov and all of his craziness, when it comes to his face, that's one thing that he tends to fall back on, and whenever he's talking, is like, how could anyone forget my face? Because he remembers how Kuma says, I'll never forget your face. So Ivankov kind of functions in a way like, if Kuma could remember my face, everyone else should remember my face as well. Because that's where this all started. That whole mental tick, if you will, like, how can anyone forget how I look? If Kuma can remember me, I know you can. It never dawned on me until this very moment. Fake news, Morgan's big news. I mean, world government wants them to put that fake news out there, which essentially makes it big news. But Ivankov leaves, and then Ginny, saying that she's 4 years older than Kuma, saying it's up to her to feed Kuma. And then they live their lives selling wood, and Kuma gets harassed by some kids, who then get beaten up by Ginny, who then get healed by Kuma using his powers. And thus, people start to like Kuma more and more as he got older. And mind you, he's still a kid here. He's still a kid. He's a big kid, but he's still a kid here. And he's just casually working, like carrying logs into town every chance they get, living well, eating some good food, and they're all both crying because they're happy. Because all they've known is slavery under the Celestial Dragons. This is the first moment in many years, in a very long time, that they actually get to enjoy life, and they're happy, and they don't need to look over their shoulder wondering if a Celestial Dragon is going to beat them into submission, into unconsciousness, or just straight up kill them. They're free. And with this happiness, they just start bawling their eyes out, because I want to say, in all their lives, they probably never thought they would get away. But they're just crying in this church, in Kuma's family's church. In Kuma's family church, because his family ran a church. They're just crying at them being finally free. And that's all the chapters that we got in the month of October. So I have to say, I knew we were going to get some good stuff when we went through Kuma's memories, but I didn't think they were going to be this good. I'm be honest, I knew we were going to get some sauce, but I didn't know we were going to get some sauce. I didn't know we were going to get some sauce. It was like, and I said this to Gajil, it was like Oda gave his pen to God. God says, "You have my blessing." And then he gave it back to Oda. And these are the chapters that Oda has been giving us. The fact that he was able to save 500 people is amazing in itself. Yeah, the fact that he just got the power. He just got it. And he managed to save 500 people as a child? That's not something you see people do. That's not something you see children do, even in One Piece. You got moments where kids do stuff to like lend a hand, but like save 500 people as a child? You don't see that. That's how much his resolve for being like Nika was. His resolve, and I want to say his resolve solidified even more when he encountered Jay Garcia. I want to be like Nika and save as many of these unfortunate people as I possibly can. Marinara, soy, hollandaise, tartar, barbecue sauce, Sweet Baby Ray's. This was the Sweet Baby Ray's of sauce. That's how good these chapters were. Now, like I said, I didn't expect these memories of Kuma to reveal this much to us. The events leading to the God Valley incident, though we don't actually see those events transpire because these are Kuma's memories. These are Kuma's memories. We are only going that far. So, it stands to reason that even though we're seeing like Whitebeard and company, we're not seeing too much. Because I feel like Oda's still waiting on that moment to finally reveal Rox to us, who Rox is as a person. And I got so many questions about Rox as an individual, but these were amazing chapters. We're still on Egghead. We're in a flashback. Who knows if the next chapter we get will be another flashback? I don't know, but we'll have to wait until Sunday to find out. But overall, my overall impressions of these recent One Piece chapters has been Oda has been giving us his very best ever since he came out of that break. Not the last break he went on for eye surgery, the break he went on to finalize the final saga. All these chapters that we've witnessed thus far for One Piece have been fantastic. And you would think that with as hype as these chapters tend to get us, especially us reactioneers who react to this live for all of you to see, and you see our expressions. Not everyone reacts the same way that I do. But me jumping up out of my chair, hollering into the far corner of my room, because I walk all the way over there. I walk all the way over to where my room is, to the other side of where my room is, where my closet is. I walk all the way over there, and I just think about, like, am I really witnessing what I'm seeing right now? But when you hear me hollering, that's real. That's real, because these are good chapters. So, when Oda came out of his break, he came out firing all cylinders. He came out swinging. He came out swinging and shooting like RoboCop during the drug factory shootout in the first RoboCop movie. Can't wait to play the game. But he was like, it's like he was impervious. And every bullet he fired was a chapter. He fired a phenomenal chapter like brr, 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 brr. Oda has been on a 10 since he came out of break. There have been some chapters where it's been a little less than 10, but not to the degree where it's all like, I question why Oda did this. That's how good of a job Oda has done with these recent chapters. But you would think that with us getting as hype as we do, especially people like me who do this live and react live, so you guys can see and share this sort of feeling that I have as well, you would think that there would be this sense of overstimulation of hype. Yet there isn't. This feeling of like, oh wow, there's so many big mind-blowing set pieces all over and over and over again. Doesn't that get tiresome? No. Oddly enough, no. Anytime there's a high moment in One Piece, my mind just goes like, and scream. Ah! And it's like that. It doesn't feel like like mentally, sometimes I just feel like, I can't deal with this right now because it's amazing. Not I can't deal with it because we've had too many hype moments. I never get the feeling like the moments where it blows our mind for One Piece feel like they are done too often. That's the thing. I never feel like the moments that blow my mind in this story are done so often to the point of it feeling repetitive and monotonous. They've happened a lot. Yet I've never felt I never had this monotonous feeling of, oh wow, Oda just revealed something else. Oh wow, Oda just revealed something else. And this can happen multiple times, but not once do I feel like, wow, another hype moment again? It was like, no, it's like, wow, that's awesome. That's how Oda's been with these chapters. And I'm here for it. It's just amazing how far we've come for One Piece. To think, and I'm so glad that I did like my whole read-through series on the entire series so people can have the entirety of One Piece to witness, at least from my own dramatic readings. But I am so grateful that I started reading One Piece. I'm so grateful that I started getting into One Piece because this is an amazing story. If this was like a light novel chapter book, this would probably be the only one that I've ever entertained this much since the story grips me. The characters do. The world building is great, and I can't wait to see just how much more we expand once we leave Egghead. But my overall opinion on the chapters that we got in October is Kuma's memories are by far one of the best flashbacks we've ever had in One Piece since Oden's flashback of him not only being on Whitebeard's crew, but also being on Roger's crew. This might be one of the best flashback moments of One Piece, period. Just the history of Kuma. And like, not only that, but Kuma's popularity, and I gotta go back to what Ozzy was saying, Kuma's popularity is going to jump up massively. People liked Kuma already, but this chapter just solidifies Kuma as one of the most honorable individuals in all of One Piece, period. And the fact that Gloriosa never mentioned to Luffy she was shipmates with Whitebeard amazes me. All 10 out of 10 chapters, exactly. But Kuma, this entire arc, well, actually, Kuma this entire month, just with his 2 chapters, has literally become one of my favorite characters right next to Fujitora. Because I have a thing about characters who are incredibly powerful, but I also have like a really, really small list of characters who I can put on a list that I find not only powerful, but also honorable. That morally honorable selection of characters. Fujitora's in that list, and Kuma is as well. Just his history, even as a child, he had the mindset of Nika, wanting to free people and save people as much as he can. Just like Nika, I want to be like the warrior of liberation. So if there's slaves anywhere, I want to save them. And he does it because it feels right to him. Now, we're going to have to see Kuma as he gets older, because this is Kuma where he has like a shaved head, not before he gets the luscious, luxurious locks that he gets later on in life. Hopefully, the flashbacks will continue where we get to see Kuma grow up. Because we've seen Kuma as a child, and we've seen Kuma as an adult, but it's the in-between that should be the most interesting. But overall, October was a phenomenal month for One Piece. We only got 2 months left, and then that'll be all the chapters we get in this year, and then we move on to 2024, which I am really looking forward to. To everyone who showed up to my One Piece reflection stream today, it was amazing. I had a lot of fun. Y'all know how much I love to talk about One Piece on this channel. I will be doing Jujutsu Kaisen and My Hero Academia type streams as well later on in the future. Not at the moment, but later on in the future. I still got to find a good place to do that where it doesn't conflict with anything else I'm doing. But once I find a good time to start them, I will. But to everyone who stopped by, whether you're brand new to this channel or you've been here for a minute and you're just tuning in as a regular, thank you. Thank you for stopping by. And that includes my regulars as well. You guys don't owe me your time, yet I appreciate you for being here, especially hours if I carry on for hours as I tend to do. I just want to say thank you. You really do make this job worthwhile. I consider myself blessed to be able to do this. This is by far one of the best life choices I've ever made. Leaving my previous job, which I did not like and felt I was wasting time at, to doing something I'm happy to wake up and do on a regular basis. I'm just so undeniably blessed to do this. I'm undeniably honored. That's a better word. I'm undeniably honored to do this for all of you because this is a joy. It doesn't matter how many views I get on any of my videos, whether they hit 550 or even 5 views. I can make multiple videos, and if they don't break a 3 digits, it doesn't bother me as long as people are entertained. But I just want to say thank you for making this one of the best life decisions I ever made. And I'm nothing but appreciative to not only my viewers, my regular subscribers, my moderators, and especially my members, because you guys supporting me every single month, it helps. It really does. People don't say it all that often, but I just want to say that I want to say thank you for all that you do for me. So I'm done, ladies and gentlemen. October was a phenomenal month for One Piece. Looking forward to November, because November starts tomorrow. Ain't that crazy? We are entering into the final 2 months of this year, and then we move into 2024. But I'm done. Hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, and subscribe, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples!